Welcome back to the Circle of Drift podcast, where we interview some of the most interesting personalities within the industry. My name is Dawson, and today we have on Allan from Bridge Moto.
You ever heard that saying? It's like that Miata's behind you, he's behind you for a reason.
Yeah.
It's a true saying.
Where we go over why RX7s are heavily underrated.
These cars, when you're driving them at 150, 160, like a one gun kind of layout on the highway, you can drive them with one hand.
No way.
They're
dude.
that smooth.
Why low power cars are always better. Down to.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you this.
Okay.
If you're gonna leave that car in that's gonna be the car you really learn how to drive.
How road racing tracks shape drifters and how sim racing is changing drifting.
Man, sims, that's a whole nother conversation.
Oh, I know.
Sims have come so far, dude.
It's
almost like
wild,
one to
bro.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, and that's why the younger kids are killing it.
I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era.
All right, we have Allan here today from Bridge Moto. We are in actually the cafe for Bridge Moto.
We are.
So really cool place if you haven't seen it yet. But we got a very exciting podcast today to get into. A lot of different, safety gear stuff. Road racing versus drifting, all that. There's a whole bunch to get into, but
Okay.
but of course, look below the video. Make sure the subscribe button is not still red. If it is, go ahead and click that. Hit the bell notification while you're at it, so you never miss an episode. And along with that, season's coming up quick, man. You're gonna need tires. You're gonna need a lot of them, especially if you go to some parking lot tracks. Good
Yeah.
God, there's like cheese graters. So
That's right. Yeah.
Zach Nova is offering you guys 20% off with my code Circle of Drift, so don't miss out on that. The link is always in the description along with the code in case you forget. And then, of course, check out the Grassroots Hero steering wheels, gloves, shirts, hats, etc., all the above. And yeah, so that's pretty much all I got for the intro. But first question I want to ask is, what is Bridge Moto exactly?
That's a great question. So Bridge Moto is a safety equipment company first, but where our name derives from is bridging all motorsports through safety, right? So no matter if you're in the rally, you're in the drifting, road racing, off-road trucks, Baja, whatever the case, one thing is unanimous, and that is safety. So our safety bridges all those gaps, and that's how we deform to Bridge Moto.
Awesome. Okay. Because as far as the safety gear and stuff is actually like a smaller part of Bridge Moto, right?
Yeah,
Isn't
so
it?
we've got a lot. So we also have Togi Techniques, which is our race division shop. So we build all different types of race cars for our own personal use: drift cars, rally cars, wheel to wheel, time attack, street cars. And so Bridge Moto really came about where I was trying to figure out, hey, how do I start a cool business that is unique, that's not another part slinging business, right? So, because, turbos are great, parts are great, but every Tom, Dick, and Harry's selling parts these days, and especially back then. So it was like, I've always kind of been that way. I've always been the kid to sit at the table by itself and kind of just figure out where I belong. And the same thing with business, man. I really wanted to do something different. So safety was really the choice for us, because when we got started back in 2013, all the safety equipment was black, red, or blue. I was like, dude, imagine walking into the mall and you're looking for a new pair of shoes.
Right, dude.
And finish line, and every shoe was black, red, or blue. You'd be like, something feels weird. This is like some type of utopia. Well, that's what safety equipment was like before we got into it. So I like to say we brought the color TV to safety. Yeah, so that's kind of how we
a
got
good
here.
way to put it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that because really all you had back then was Holly. I mean, Holly and some Sparko.
Yeah, you
and
had
your
Sparko,
essential.
Simpson. You had your brands. Basically, I like to say that you could buy out of a commercial magazine, right? Like your Summit magazine, your Jex magazine, and those pages, they could have been in black and white. You wouldn't have known the difference. So, not to hate on them, but I come from a skateboard background, BMX, so everything's about expression, right?
Okay.
It's not about that you can ride the skateboard. It's about having your own style, your own look, your own swag to it, if you use that word. And that's kind of like what I wanted to bring to safety. And it didn't have to be boring, right? It could be something that you could be expressive about when you had a cool race suit on, or you had a dope pair of shoes, and that's kind of how we worked our way up to what we do now.
Yeah. And it's also like, I mean, you kind of want to personalize yourself
Right.
in a way too. Like if you're all wearing the same safety gear, there's no way to stand out.
Yeah.
So I totally get that.
Yeah, let's take a break from the podcast really quick. Have you ever wanted to be the one in the hot seat answering questions and sharing your opinion on drifting? I think it's time to bring the podcast to the very next level, which is bringing it out to you guys at events. I want to give not only the people that come on the podcast, but you guys the opportunity to share your opinion on what you think matters. And if you don't want to do that, I love it when you guys just come up to say hi. So you're more than welcome to do that as well. So do not miss out on the LZ World Tour. I will go ahead and leave a link in the description where you can grab your tickets, and I'll see you guys there.
Where did the name come from?
So the name Bridge Moto, man, we were thinking about what made sense, and we were like, we want to do something different, and we want it to be around motorsports, but we don't want to be blah motorsports or whatever. So we were like, Bridge Moto International we came up with the bridge portion because we were like, oh, all safety is related no matter the discipline of motorsports. So that's where the bridge part came from. The moto is from like the deviation of motorsports, right?
Gotcha.
And then
okay.
the full name is International because we had the idea, in Florida in our little driveway with no garage that we were going to expand this as big as possible. So, and luckily we've done a good job. We got a long way to go, but that's where the name came from, basically.
That's cool, man. And like you guys do a bunch of like build stuff too, right? For other, not just yourself,
like
but
car
for
builds?
other people.
Yeah. So I used to be open to the public until recently. About 2 years ago, we stopped taking public. But yes, I used to build Hachirokus or A86s for guys that I've never even seen before. They would show up on a motor car semi roll off as a roller. I'll build the car, test it, tune it, and then the customer would have somebody pick it up and ship out to Chicago or LA or whatever. So I really got my feet wet building cars through A86s, which is what I started drifting first.
No shit.
And I just got a really good cult following. I started making custom parts that you can still find on togetechniques.com for Hachirokus. And that's where it came through. And then I started building the RX7s.
Yeah.
I built those from scratch, engines and drivetrain and everything, and got a big cult following on those. So built quite a few of those. But it got to the point where with our traveling with Grid Life, doing Bridge Moto, and also looking at doing the actual in-person store, it was too much to do that on top of building my car. So I started finding myself building other people's cars and not having my cars ready for event, rushing 2-3 days before the event.
Oh yeah.
And we both know that's no fun, right? That's no fun at all.
Absolutely.
So I had to make the hard decision. I was like, you know what? I'm going to continue to sell the parts that I make custom for these cars, but I'm no longer going to take in-shop builds. I'm only going to build our team stuff. So we'll do some stuff like if we get on a drifter or a rally guy that doesn't have the capabilities of prepping their car, we'll still do that. But for the most part, it's my car stuff. Yeah.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
So, what would you say is probably your favorite car that you had a hand in back in the day? Then?
That I don't own, or what?
Or
Either
one really.
I would probably say it'll probably be my FD that's sitting outside. The reason I like that
love
car,
that car, dude.
appreciate
It's
it, man.
so
I appreciate
good.
it. The reason I like that car because it was my first time ever going to Japan. I went and visited a buddy of mine, Donald Jackson Pinku Style, if you ever heard of him. Went and visit him, and my wife and I, we traveled all over Japan. That was just one of the stops. But he had this car in his lot, but it was old, run down. The paint was gone. The engine was blown. It had a couple little rust spots. There was like rat's nests in the interior. It was completely shot, right? But I couldn't afford a nice running FD even at that time, So I was like, hey,
who can?
Especially now. That was back in 2017. So imagine.
Yeah.
So it was a different world then, cheaper, but even now they're just ridiculous. But long story short, he had that car and a couple others sitting in his lot, and I was like, hey, is there any paperwork on the car? He's like, well, it's spoken for. So I left it alone, and then something told me, I was like, hit him back up and see if it's still available. So before I left, I hit him back up, and he was like, dude, this car is like really bad. Like he said it'll crank over, but it just runs on one rotor. And he's like, man, it smells like rats in here. You don't want this car. I was like, yeah, I do. I was like, it's what I can afford and build. And so he was like, well, it does have paperwork. Let me hit up the guy who claimed he was going to get it. So before I left the island, he hit me back up. He's like, if you want it, give me a deposit and it's yours. So I wired him the deposit. When I got back stateside, it took me like a couple weeks and I sent him to rest. But I got the car basically in hellacious condition, right? Even when I went to pick it up at the port, it was running so bad I couldn't drive it up on the trailer. It would sput and then it started rolling back off the trailer. So I had to like push it up manually. So I took this car, stripped it all the way down, no glass, no body panels, like beyond a shell. Redid the interior in it, redid the paint, completely rebuilt the drivetrain in it, built my own custom coilovers for it, built my own oil coolers for it. So it got me, not only I liked the car because it was a full restoration, but it also allowed me to like showcase some of my parts, right? The coilovers.
It's got a lot of your character in it.
Got a lot of my character in it without it being too spicy. And so that's why I like it and for the build aspect, but then what kind of puts the cream on top is that these cars handle like no other. Like I've driven everything domestic, international, like import wise, Euro wise, and these feel like everything's in the center of the car. It just rotates like a dime, man. It's crazy. So it's really
I assume
unique.
because of how far back the engine and how small it is,
So
too. Like the center of gravity is great.
You hit it right on the head. So on paper, these are literally considered a front mount mid-engine car because
Really?
yeah, the engine, you got to remember like a two rotor is only this deep, right?
True.
So not only is it that small, but it's sitting up against the firewall, well behind the steering rack, so everything feels like it's rotating at the dash. So it's really well balanced. Excuse me. It's really well balanced, but it also it's predictable and nimble because they're light. You know, you could have all those aspects, but if it was a 3,500-pound car, it still wouldn't be quite there. But that's what I love about it, man. It's just the drivability, the handling ability, and like a lot of way the Japanese put this car is they like like your Toyota Supras, your GTRs, they're awesome on the highway, right? But when you drive those, your two hands, your Planet, let's say you're going 150, 160. These cars, when you're driving them at 150, 160, like a one-gun kind of layout on a highway, you can drive them with one hand. You can literally. They're that smooth. They're that 90 miles an hour and 140 miles an hour is the same in these cars. Other than the wind, it's that balanced. Yeah. So, and I know they get a bad rap because of the Rotary, but we'll get into that later. When they're built right, just like anything else, when they're built right, the preparation's there, everything is fine, spec'd and combed through. They're amazing.
That's awesome. Yo, dude, when's your first event? I think it's in I think it's in 2 weeks, something like that. But dude, have you even ordered tires yet? Oh my God, you're right. Dude, thanks for that reminder. I gotta do that. Yeah, no problem, man. Have you tried the Zeknovas yet? I mean, I've been tossing around the idea of doing that, but I think realistically I'm just gonna buy some cheap Walmart tires like I usually do. No, okay. No, we're not doing that. You've had plenty of seat time by now. You need proper tires. But what do you mean proper tires? Well, what I mean by proper tires is like better grip, more consistency, longer life, and as weird as it sounds, even smells better. But bro, they're so much more expensive. No. Just use the Circle of Drift code. It's like 20% off. Yo, wait, really? But what do I do for the next event? Well, then just use it again. I mean, you can literally use it all season if you want. Well, shit, you ain't gonna tell me twice. I'm gonna do that. Same goes for you, too. If you're looking to get your tires before the first event, maybe it's coming up quick, drop down below to the link to Zeknova Tires and use the code Circle of Drift to get 20% off. So what is it like? Is this car just become like a weekend car, or like do you track it at all? Or
yeah, so I was a little ambitious when I first finished the car. So true story, I finished the car, took it to a buddy of mine's place and did the alignment on it. Never drove the car on the street, loaded up in a trailer, and we went out to Pikes Peak International Raceway.
No shot,
True story. Never drove the car on the street, never tested it, didn't dyno tune it, nothing. Because we ran out of time. It's basically we signed up for Grid Life. That was a Grid Life event.
Yeah.
We signed up for Pikes Peak International Raceway, got there, unloaded the car, went through tech inspection, and did all the rounds. Now, what I did is when I replaced all the, there's a thing called a rat's nest. Basically, it's like a shit ton of vacuum lines that the engines have that sit underneath the manifold. Well, when I did that, the hoses that I used, they were on the shelf for quite a while, so they started getting a little bit noodle soft, basically. Yep. So under high boost and vacuum, they were kind of pinched themselves. So what I started getting a little bit of like boost creep and whatnot out of it. But other than that, it ran great. So got it back here, fixed all that stuff, and then I went to Sebring and did a track day in Sebring. But I've done Sebring in that car. I've done Road Atlanta. I've done Barber Motorsports Park. So it's done more track days than like the average guy that does track days with those cars. And for it being a super clean car, is like, that's my thing, is I like to build a car clean, but I like to beat on them, you know?
Yeah.
And I've destroyed the bumper on the front of that street drifting it. Trying to be
you street drift that thing, dude?
Used to street drift it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, then that one has a Aria Mimia front bumper that I like basically salvaged back because when I got the car it was all beat up. So buddy of mine helped me clean it up. He's a really good body guy.
You're bold.
And yeah, dude, I got too cocky, hit a couple turns, and then hit the ditch. Hit the ditch ass first, and then when it hit the ditch, it spun around and smashed the whole front bumper fender. So then I pull up in his shop with the fender hanging off, the bumper hanging off, the headlight smashed. Yeah, so that was
heartbreaking.
That was a learning experience, not to get too comfortable street drifting. So
yeah.
But now I don't do that. I do drive it. To answer your question, I drive it up here in the mountains probably every other week because I've got a bunch of other silly toys and stuff like that. But I like to drive it pretty regularly. So,
that's cool. Yeah,
it's more of if anything, it's a toge car.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, speaking of toge, I got to tackle this real quick. The roads, like, we tried planning this podcast multiple times, but first one was like, it started snowing, and we were like, don't get stuck up here, so I turned around. But, you know, I've driven Atlanta roads and stuff.
Yeah.
No. Like,
the
toge roads here, man, it's just, oh my God. Like, not even just around this area, but like 2 hours out.
Yeah, it's constant.
I was going down some insanely beautiful roads. I could only imagine in the fall what it looks like.
Yeah, this is God's country, dude. This is God's country for sure. It's beautiful, and that's why when we had a storefront before. It was basically outer perimeter north of Atlanta, and it was a cool spot. And I actually had the shop built into the store too. So front was a big showcase. The back had basically a 2-bay shop, but the way the 1 bay was set up, you pulled through and you could go left or right. So it's like a 3-bay size.
Yeah.
And it was cool because like I had an arcade in the showroom, and you'll see some videos on YouTube back in the day of it. But the only element it was missing was it wasn't fun to drive to, right? You're just going out of the city, you're going through traffic, you get into the country a little bit and you're there. It wasn't fun. So it's like I told my wife Rachel, I was like, when we do another storefront, we want to do one that's cool and fun to get to. Like it's a destination location, right? So, and that's why we're on top of this mountain right now. We're literally on top of the mountain. I'm sure you came up that way. Yeah, so it's fun to be here, right? And that's the thing. It's like, you know, as much as we would love to sell you some seats, you only need your seats like every 5-10 years, right? So it's like you want to be able to come up here and not feel obligated to buy safety equipment, and that's what it's about. You can come up here, you can come play some Initial D video games. You can, we can throw some barbecue on the grill back there. I got a fish pond back there stocked with bass and catfish and brim. So it's like, that's what it's about. It's supposed to be a community-driven location where you can pull up in the parking lot like that guy out there fixing his S2000 right now.
Dude, I pulled up. There's a whole guy just taking apart his car.
Yeah. I was like, dude, you're totally fine. He couldn't do that in a Walmart. They're going to get upset with him. Like, here, you're totally fine. I told him one rule, don't leave any trash. And that's what it's about, taking care of the community, having a fun place to hang out, make friends, and so far it's been great.
That's awesome, dude. And then you get people up in here like that lady that just walked in. Has no idea what this place is, but she had to go to the bathroom or whatever it was and ends up buying a drink. Like, that's super cool. Yeah,
it is super cool, man. Yeah, exactly. So we're close to, we're walking distance literally from the national parks here.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of hikers. We get a lot of people that are just traveling through and want to see the lakes. You get people that are up here to do trout fishing. You get down here there's a prop plane landing. So like if you got a little independent plane, you can land your plane out
That's
here.
wild.
Yeah, so it's
On a mountain?
yeah. You got,
That's
I don't know
wild.
what kind of balls you got to have to land a plane on a mountain, but these people got them, some of them, and so power to them. But yeah, it's just right. It's 3 miles down the road, so it's cool, because even if you're not into like cars or bikes, there's cycling up here and everything else to do. It's a lot of fun.
Hell yeah. And if you're curious or ever wanted to try Boss Coffee, he has it.
Yeah.
That's not something you can just find in the U.S., so.
That's right. Yeah. So we've got a hot fridge and a cold fridge. You can basically come in and get everything from a Japanese hot coffee to matchas to Red Bulls and whatever you want. And so you can get them hot or cold. It's kind of like playing on that Japanese theme where you can get the hot vending machine and whatnot. So yeah, it's that's our thing. We call it a cafe. It's not a cafe in the sense of a cafeteria, right? We call it the Bridgemoto Cafe because it's a lounge, kind of cool hangout spot. You can come watch, Formula Drift when they're live. You can have a sip of coffee. We've got a back deck. You can sit out and just enjoy watching cars go by.
Wait, what? There's a
Yeah,
back deck back there?
Yeah, I'll
What
show
the
you all
fuck?
that before we leave. You can get some rolling footage of all that stuff. But yeah, there's a whole
That's so
recreational
cool,
area. I built a
dude.
whole
I didn't know
recreational
that.
area out there. So yeah.
Damn, this is a good little spot, man.
Yeah. So yeah, when we first got it, it was just abandoned. The guy before us he had a barbecue restaurant in here, and it just didn't really pay off for him. So and it's originally a 1960s gas station, so it still has the tanks, it still has everything, all the bones and structures, the canopy that we fixed up. And when we got it, we redid the floors, the walls, electricity to make it, a place we could be proud of.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, good job, man. I
appreciate
really
it,
like
man.
what you've done with it.
Appreciate you getting here, man, because I know we've been talking back and forth, and we've been talking so long, actually.
Dude.
Before I reopened this place.
Yes,
Remember, I was going
man.
to come up to Tennessee.
Yeah.
You were like, I'll let you know and da-da-da. So, yeah, it's been a long time coming, so happy to have you.
Absolutely, man. It's good to be here. Well, we don't have to keep talking about all that. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit
I
more
know you
on
got
it.
your hot spots. What you got?
Yeah. So I know we were talking about RX7s and stuff. So first, let me ask you, I have an FC myself.
Oh,
that's
shit.
completely bone stock, 113,000 miles, and it doesn't run. It's got a electrical issue.
What year model?
It's 88.
Okay. Yeah.
So I've heard a lot about how the RX7s, whether it's FC, FD, all that stuff, they just have a lot of nonsense under the engine bay. What?
Yeah.
I guess what can be taken out and
So
what is needed, I guess.
I think first you got to understand what's there before you start taking out things. And
True.
the reason why there's most of what you see there is emissions related, right?
Yeah.
Because the rotaries, while fairly efficient from a combustion standpoint, from a pollutant standpoint, they're not that great, right? And that's why you saw a lot of trouble with like the RX8s, is because they had to do a lot of things to make them emissions compliant. And the same thing, I mean, since the 70s when they started cracking down on this stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of EGR stuff in that car that you can remove. I've got a 87, and it's nothing to be proud of. It's just it's a car I picked up for $500.
Hell
and
I paid $1,000 for mine.
yeah,
I
so
feel
it's
you.
probably the twin of your car. Yeah, it's just a 13B NA. But I've removed all the emission stuff out of it. I've removed the power steering rack and put it on a manual rack. It's got no AC.
Yeah.
It's and I'm a big AC guy, but when I got it, it didn't have it anyway. It's a factory option non-AC car, a slick
Wow.
top. So you can get them down where you pop the hood and you literally have like your intake, exhaust, the engine, and that's it. Like you can trim a lot of fat on those, but most of the stuff you're going to be taking off there is emissions related.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been wanting to dive into that car a lot more, and I needed to know that stuff.
What's your
myself,
goals with it? Is it
like-
going to be a street car, drift
So
car?
I want it to be more of a street car or just like a weekend type car, put around town.
It's a-
I don't want it to be anything.
It's still got the
crazy.
engine in it?
Yeah, it's still got the 13B.
It
in it.
run?
It's literally completely bone stock. down to the spare tire in the trunk from the factory. Like everything's there. I just can't sort out the electrical issue, the no start issue. It's got no spark at all.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so of course, we're not gonna do any Houdini work right now, but
Right.
but usually, with that's the case, either your coils or a lot of times the airflow meter, if it doesn't read right, it will not let the coil spark. Yeah, so if your airflow meter is bad, that'll throw it off too. But I'll be happy to look at it for you. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'd be down to.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you this: if
Okay.
you're gonna leave that car NA and you're gonna just get it a great driving car, that's gonna be the car you really learn how to drive. Not
Really?
saying that you don't know how
What
to
do you
drive
mean by
now.
that though? Like,
Okay,
for real.
That's a good question, right? So, because right now, correct me if I'm wrong, your RB25 350Z got plenty of power, probably nice single turbo on there, healthy
Yeah.
turbo. You got more power than seat time, probably, right?
Well, no, because I drove that car for 3 years.
Okay.
When it was VQ, like before I ever even
Okay.
did the RB stuff. So I've
Yeah.
gotten some seat time under my belt before
Okay,
even
good.
jumping
But
into that.
But you in that car, you drove it NA before you went to turbo.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, I stand corrected then. What I mean by that is when you start with like an NA car, and it's all about the commitment and the driver, dude. It's a
100%
world of
agree.
difference versus sitting there, you little clutch kick, wah, turbo spins out, and those RBs sound like nothing else.
Yeah.
Freak. I'm a big RB guy, by the way.
Oh, it was a
And-
big pain to get used to.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
especially
yeah.
just turbo surge and like keeping it up on the RPMs. Like it's totally different with an NA motor. the
Oh
way you
yeah,
drive.
yeah. And but the 13 the small 13Bs, they're slow and everything, but what I mean by that too is like the commitment level to get it to perform is like 97%.
Yep.
Versus even
Yep.
like a stock 350Z, G35, I've driven plenty of those, drifted those, and they're at that sweet spot where you want more power, but it's enough power to do third gear slides
yeah.
all day, have fun. But with like these
With the right gearing in the rear.
With the
I will
right-
say
yeah,
that.
yeah,
I
you
got a
got like a-
3.5 in my car
Oh,
with this
no,
RB,
no,
and
yeah.
dude, I'm struggling in third.
you have like a 411 back there, dude. You'd be murdering.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's what I
for
really
sure.
need.
But no, like the FCs and stuff, man. It's just a driver's car, dude. It's
That's
so
what I've
raw.
heard.
It's so raw. And it makes everything a little bit more rewarding. Like when I first started doing like track days and stuff, I did it in a 240, and I was an RB, big turbo,
Hell yeah.
freaking more car than my driving skill at the time. And then I had the Hachiroku that I was doing the drifting with. I said, well, let me just try learning the track in the Hachiroku, and then I'll go back to and then what I found out was
Oh.
I was moving so effing fast, I wasn't learning the track. I was just ripping up the straights and bombing the corners, but I really didn't have any driving finesse. And when I got into Hachiroku, it said, slow everything down, figure out the best way to take the turns. And, and every little mistake you made, you knew it because the next car would blister you because you didn't get your run out of the corner. You didn't get things set up just enough to have that gap. So when you got into the tight sections of like Road Atlanta, or the S's, you could bomb them, and the faster cars really couldn't take them at that speed.
Yeah.
So it really slowed everything down. I think the FC will do the same thing. It'll slow everything down when it comes to like driving technique, where you can really finesse and learn like, oh, okay, yeah, I do have this opportunity to do this or that, or
Yeah.
even footwork is a big one, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially with a low power car. I could
Oh, yeah.
totally see that.
Yeah.
I've noticed just with the NA side of the Z that you're like forced to pay attention to your line 100 times more.
Oh, yeah.
Than
Too
if
much
you do have
angle, you
power,
scrub,
man.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Totally get that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess tell me about this the road race RX7 that you have. Like
Okay, yeah. So that one's a FC as well. So it is so I bought that car from a buddy of mine named Curtis. You ever heard of K1 Built?
yeah.
K1, yeah, me and Curtis go back. We talk the most shit between each other, but we love each other. Like, yeah, we support each other. And so he had that chassis, and I always wanted an FC. At that time, that was like my first rotary car, and it was a shell,
No
so it was
shit.
technically not a rotary, right? But
Yeah.
so I picked that one up, and I had plans I had purchased a 13B Roo because I didn't want to do the turbo too because the parts are so hard to find. I knew the Roo parts a little bit more plentiful and still in production. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna build that motor, the root motor, and put in that Black FC. Well, when I did that Japan trip that I talked about earlier, and the deal worked out with Donald to get the FD, I said, you know what? I'm just gonna have this motor that's ready to refresh and put it in there. And I took the motor out of that car, rebuilt it, and put it in the Black FC. So the original motor from the factory out of this FD is now in the Black FC. So I refreshed it instead of
cool.
So it's got his little brother's heart, so to speak.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I built that. It's a fully built street port 13B Roo. It's got a G30 700 on it. So I'm a big Garrett guy just because they always showed me love from like the early on and I
run a 3076. So
there you
go.
Dog. You're a G man.
Yep.
Yeah, and long story short, so I did the same thing, built my own custom suspension for that car, built my own Kula kits. I also built, I started learning how to build wheels with that car. So I took a set of Mazda Speed original wheels, but the specs were horrible. They were like plus 42, 7.5, but they're originally 2-piece wheels. So I was like, man, if I can take the face out of these and turn them into a 3-piece step lip, these would be some nasty wheels. So then I reached out to like Ronin Speedworks and ordered a body kit from them for the over fenders and the quarters, put those on, and I was like, whoa, dude, I can run like 18 by 11 on this car. So so I was like, and it's a road racing car, so I was like, I want as much tire as possible underneath it. And long story short, so I started measuring everything, spec'd it out. Then I started working with a forged aluminum wheel company to build barrels to the spec that I needed them. And then so once I figured that out, I was like, dude, I can make some custom wheels. So now we make, not only do I still spec those out for the Mazda Speeds and RM Minya AW7 wheels, but I also make our own custom wheels for like Mercedes 190Es and any other hub bolt pattern, whatever you want. We make them from scratch, so we can design and craft and finish the color.
That's
and all
a service that like you guys offer.
Yeah, it's a shop service. So
I
it's
had
right on.
no clue,
Yeah, there's
dude.
a lot of that. The problem with me, dude, is I'm old school, so I don't like get out there and like sit out there and beat the drum enough as I should. But we do a lot of cool stuff in house and
So
like
sick.
the custom wheels, custom oil coolers, all that stuff, and it's like. It's almost got that underground feel to it, right? It's like we're not mainstream. We've got the underground energy, but I love it enough where it's like, you know what, it keeps it fun. And, I don't want to be in Summit. I want to be right there with the drivers. We're not, and that's kind of like our approach. But, yeah, so I built out some custom wheels for that car, and I had them custom painted like a jet green metallic, and that's the color of my A86, so I wanted to have that tie-in of the shop color, right? So put those on there, and then Haltech came on board. Shout out to Haltech because they worked with me on wiring. They sent me basically an open loom, and I built my own wiring harness. And I run Elite.
Nope.
Yeah, that was a job, dude.
Bye.
That was a job, man. That was a real job.
Man.
And so built the harness from scratch on that, and there really was no blueprint because you're putting a motor that doesn't go in that car, so I had to figure it all out. But did the Elite 1500, not 25, excuse me, Elite 1500, standalone. I run the Haltech IC7 dash, and all the supporting stuff that you need on that. So all said and done, that car is 450 wheel, which is quick for a rotary car, and it's a ripper, man. It is a ripper. Like as far as road racing, it's like. I went to Lime Rock Park in Connecticut, and like in my class, I was the oldest car in my class, and I finished in the like top 10 with that car. Being the oldest car is there, and I actually had a one-on-one battle with you ever heard of Rob Dom with the he's got he's got a 3-rotor, huge single turbo. And so me and him got to do like a one-on-one battle. They did a special occasion.
That's so cool.
So FC versus FD, and that was a great fun. He's a pretty cool guy from the conversations I've had with him, and it was pretty cool because I edged him out a little bit in my FC. I was like, yeah, old school, baby. So that was fun. But it's an old car, and it's as fun as it is. It's not as competitive as if I was in a newer chassis, right?
Right.
Unfortunately, I'm stubborn enough where I don't want to switch chassis to something new. So even though I am working on different road racing cars and drift car stuff, I like the old stuff. And
Yeah.
to me, it connects with me a little better.
I get that. If there was a newer vehicle you had to choose, which one would you
That's
probably
currently in
go for?
production.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um.
Or I guess a newer vehicle that is used within drifting and,
Yeah, like if I was going to
Commonly.
build a drift car and it was like didn't have to worry about the budget and it was just like here you go, I'll probably do that Lexus RCF, the 2-door.
no shit.
Yeah, they're V8.
Yeah.
They're out of the box 470 horsepower, right? So they're rear wheel
Crazy,
drive. They're heavy, but in drifting you're gonna pull a lot of weight out of them anyway, right?
Yeah.
So they're sexy, and I think Andy Gray out of Japan and a couple other guys drift them, so they're proven. I
Hell
think he's
yeah.
won a championship with them already. So,
Damn.
and they're bigger car. It'd be kind of equivalent to like drifting it's probably about the size of a JZX 100. But,
Yeah.
But it's just a newer body style, super sexy.
That's still cool.
Yeah, it's a good looking car.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned ECU stuff for the Rotary and the RX7.
Yep.
How, to anyone that doesn't really know anything about Rotaries,
Okay.
how important is having a standalone for a Rotary?
Unless you have a stock car that's running, a stock setup and a healthy, clean wiring harness and stock ECU, if you do any modifications to that car, power-wise, performance-wise, standalone engine management system should be your first thing you do before you go and actually drive that car.
Yeah.
Because, the way I like to describe it is with rotary engines, it's like a watch.
Okay.
There's less parts in it, right, than a computer. But every single part in that watch is a lot more delicate and has to be in alignment to run properly. So I built 2Js. I have 2J cars.
Yeah.
You can have timing off. Your valve clearance could be a little bit off.
Of course, yeah.
Your bores may not be quite in spec. You have a corner seal or side seal out of spec on a rotary car, it's going to run like shit if it runs.
Yeah.
And then with the engine management system, it allows you to make sure your timing is in spec so you avoid detonation. Because most of the rotary cars get killed by detonation. Well, basically, it's just pinging the engine to hell and back. I've pulled out
Right.
rotors that look like you took a hammer and beat on them.
Jesus
Yeah, it
Christ.
literally like huge quarter-sized dents in them because of the timing was not proper, or they
Yeah.
had run too much boost and they didn't have their ignition set up right or their fueling maps. So engine management system's number one on a rotary.
Yeah.
And the cycle, a lot of people think or have the misconception that rotary engines are 2 cycles. No, they're 4-cycle combustion engines, right? Just like a
Yeah.
piston engine. But they cycle twice in a revolution before that cycle's done. So basically what that means is that your
okay,
ignition and your fuel maps and timings are on a double cycle before the full revolution versus a piston engine. So it's twice as important for everything to be set up right.
Confusing.
Yeah, not to nerd out,
Jesus.
but that being said, yeah, if you're going to modify your rotary car, have a standalone engine management system and have one that is tuned. The next question I always get is, well, which one do I choose? I'm not here to bash any system. I love Haltech because Haltech has been consistent with customer support. The products on the cars I've ran have been great. But if you decide to do a Link or any other, those are great options. But
That's what I run is a Link.
Yeah,
and I've-
Links are great.
Phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
I've absolutely loved it so far.
Yeah, and they're
so if
proven,
you're
too.
considering both. I mean, really, it's either one.
My best advice is whoever's tuning your car, consult with them. And if they're more
That's-
comfortable,
That's it. Yeah.
that's what you should go with.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this: what would you say is probably the most common misconception with RX7s or just rotaries in general?
I would say the most common misconception is that all rotaries are unreliable. That's not
Horseshit.
No, that's not the case. There are some rotaries that have been designed and that have unreliable tendencies for sure. Like the first gen RX RX8s or Series 1 RX8s did have some issues in manufacturing that or when they were trying to also reach the EPA compliant stuff, that made it more difficult to make a great engine, right? So it's just like anything else. It's like you could be a great athlete, but if I say you have to run with your mouth closed or your nose pinched, right?
Good luck.
It changes the competition a little bit. But it's just like now I won't say don't get it wrong. Like I own a shit ton of rotaries, but I own a lot of piston engines too. And by design, yes, the piston engine has stood the test, the test of time, and it is a lot more simplistic setup far as like just the quality, right? When it comes to performance, but properly maintenance and a properly set up and tuned rotary is just as reliable as your RB or a 2J and stuff like SR.
Yeah.
And every engine has their innate flaws, right? So like with Series 1, when they designed the Series 1 RX-8, they had 2 oil squirters in each housing. Not to nerd out or anything, but basically what that did is that sprayed oil on the left and right side of the rotor housings, but the center never really got oiled as much.
Yeah.
So in the Series 2, like 2008 or 9 and up, they added a third oil squirter per housing, and it had allowed a lot better lubrication and less premature failure of the apex seals.
That's cool.
And so little stuff like that. So yeah, you could technically say, yeah, the Series 1 was less reliable. It was, but it was a design flaw that could be easily fixed, right? So you could have a Series 1, you can add a third oil squirter, or you can switch to Series 2 housings. But yeah, just like the SR, everybody knows about rocker arms, right?
Oh yeah.
But that's not a hard fix either, right? So you could have a doweled pin SR head like the VVL setups, and you can rev them to $9,000 with a proper setup, and they're monsters. So it's just like anything else. They've got their pros and cons, but I think the biggest misconception, if it's a rotary, it's shit, right? It's like this one, like I built that, like I told you, I built that car, bought in 17, got it here in 18, built it in 18, did my first event at Pikes Peak. So you got to imagine I did Pikes Peak, Sebring, Road Atlanta, Barber Motorsports several times, AMP, and then anybody to tell you that see me drive this car on the tollgate will tell you I beat the shit out of that car. So, and same engine. I mean, I've probably got, since I built that engine, 130, 140,000 miles, and a lot. And then, those aren't cruising miles. It's not a car you're just going to go around and cruise and go to the McDonald's.
No, you're beating the dog shit out of it.
Yeah, because I'm a
it.
big guy, so it's not a car I want to get in just to cruise around in. I want to get in there and have some fun, get some blood moving.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the biggest one. But it's like and I know a lot of guys love the rotary stuff. You won't find a guy that won't tell you that the FD is one of the most timeless looking cars, right?
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful car, whether
100%.
you like rotaries or not, whether you like Mosses or not. So
I would argue FC looks better. That's my own opinion.
Hey,
y'all are probably gonna light me on fire for that, but
I love the FC too, and like I said, I chose it over the FD to road race. I love FCs. The only thing about FC is, like stock for stock, I think the FD looks better. But if you kit up and clean up an FC, and you do it right,
true.
Oh my
I'll
God.
let you have that one. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like modify like properly modify, and I'm old school, like when it comes to styling and stuff like that. So, but like properly kit it, properly, tire tuck kind of deal on an FC, unbeatable. Especially in a red, yellow, or white. They're nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're nasty, man. For sure.
That's
what color is yours, by the way?
It's that that cyan blue color. I don't know what the actual.
That's
name
a pretty
of the
rare color,
is.
I think.
Is it?
Yeah, I have.
It's got the blue interior, blue tint.
Oh, I love that.
Of it,
I love that. I love the blue interior. Yeah, and that's a 88. So that's so that'd be S4 then. So it's got so it's got the old school interior.
I don't know enough about
the blue
them.
interior is rad. What a lot of people make a mistake of taking that S4 interior and making them like all black.
Yeah.
No, the blue's dope. So if
See,
you get
that's
rid of that
what
interior,
I thought,
let
man.
me know.
Everyone keeps telling me, like, you gotta get rid of the blue, put
No,
black
dude.
interior. I'm like,
No,
dude,
it's whack.
when the fuck have you ever seen blue
No,
interior
it's
like
never
this?
coming back.
I'm leaving it.
Yeah, it's never coming back. So yeah, you keep your blue interior, man.
Yeah,
Screw those
absolutely. That's essentially why I bought that car, though.
Yeah.
That is one of my dream cars. So
Yeah, and
I saw the deal pop up, and I just had to jump on it.
And I'll tell you, out of all the like I've had RX3s like from the early 70s.
Yeah.
The NA13Bs are like, when it comes to like top level, far as like bulletproof, those are like at the top.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
They're tanks. Yeah, they're tanks. Yeah, you can't, as long as you got like a good flowing like stock radiator on there, fresh fluids, and you got your oil cooler on there, you can't overheat those.
That's crazy.
They come from the factory too. As long as I'm pretty sure all the manuals. I'm not sure about automatics. I've never had an automatic, but I'm sure yours is manual anyway, right?
Oh yeah, it's manual.
So they come from the factory with a massive oil cooler up front too.
Really?
Yeah, so it's like you can't.
See,
overheat
I haven't
those.
even been able to dig into it and stuff.
Oh,
I tried
yeah.
tinkering with it, changing spark plugs and just some minor stuff.
Does it run right now?
No, it's the
Oh yeah,
electrical
that's right.
issue.
Yeah,
I just
electrical.
can't
Yeah,
get it.
yeah. We'll link up on that. I'll get you running, man.
Yeah.
Get you running.
That'd be awesome, dude.
Yeah, that'd be
I'd
a
love
great
to
one
put
if you
that
want to
car
get your
around.
whistle wet too, like some track days or stuff too. You'll have a good time in that.
Yeah, definitely. I want to do some road race stuff eventually.
Yeah.
So I put that. So let me ask you this: when it comes to road racing, is the whole low power hero thing the same concept in road racing?
That's a good question. When you say low power hero thing, you're talking about like get a stock car and go drift it, or is it the same philosophy as get the low power car and go drive?
So
or
like,
I'm trying to make sure I understand.
let's
your
just
question.
put it in an example like Chelsea DeNofa. He's driven 1,000 horsepower drift cars and the
Yep.
crazy Porsche drift cars and shit.
Yeah.
But he will always say going to a low horsepower car is 10 times more fun to drive.
Oh, gotcha.
Than
yeah.
a high horsepower.
Yeah, it's 100%.
The same?
100% the same.
That's cool.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm gonna tell you the truth, because
That's why the Miata things are so fun.
Yeah,
That
you
makes
ever heard it?
sense,
You ever heard
dude.
that
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
You ever heard that saying? It's like that Miata's behind you. He's behind you for a reason.
Yeah.
It's a true saying. It's true. Like unfortunately, I can't fit a
Oh.
Miata, so I can't enjoy those cars as much. But
I am Miata size.
oh, dude, you like a Miata final boss. You could be in there with your damn hair all done, greased up, hairstylist style.
Jesus.
Nah, I'm fucking with you, but
That'd be hilarious.
no, the low horsepower when it comes to road racing, and let's take road racing out, because when we say road racing, that's competitiveness or competition. Just track days, HPDE, high performance driving experiences, right? The low horsepower, good setup. So what you need to do, like have a really fun day on like when it comes to like doing road courses, is you need good tires, good brakes, preferably a decent seat, a fixed back seat. But if you've got a car that has decent bolstering, a good, stock seat belt like deal set up where it's not one of those ones that, click over you,
Yeah.
like the OFCs, right? That's all you really need is good tires, brakes, and proper seat, because when you're out there, you're learning where to put the car, right?
Yeah.
So drifting and road racing has a lot of that overlap when you talk about how to take an apex and where to position the car. The only difference is with the grip stuff, it's coming a little quicker because you're trying to get out of that corner as fast as possible, versus drifting, not necessarily trying to haul ass out of there. You're trying to hit it at the right point where you can maximize the corner, right? Instead of just getting through there fast as possible. But like a stock 350Z, awesome track day car. Tires, like I said, brakes, good seat. The RX7 that you've got, awesome. Yeah, but low power is the way to go, because like I said, like with my A86, when I switched to the A86 for doing time attack and HPD stuff, it really slowed it down enough to understand how to get the car position right, when to brake. Because when you're coming in, let's say you got 400 plus horsepower, you're coming down, the brake zone is 5, 4, 3, 2. You know, that's a lot different than 5, 4, 3, 2. You get to prepare, and you can build your confidence up, right? It's hard to build your confidence up when you got a shit ton of power and you're bearing down into a corner, and you wanna doubt. Like Road Atlanta is a great example. Like the S's, anybody can go through the S's, okay, but to master going down the S's of Road Atlanta is very difficult.
Oh, I'm
it's
sure.
and when you put your car in the wrong spot, it'll let you know when you get to the bottom of the hill.
Yeah,
Because you're
yeah.
gonna choke up so bad. You're gonna be like, man, I'm so offline. I'm either gonna carry over here, or I'm coming in way too fast. I'm gonna overcook it and you know, push off into the rumbles. You know, so
No, road racing is a whole. I think people have a misconception on road racing and drifting comparatively. That like drifting is somehow more dangerous, or like any type of road racing, you know, even if it's, you know, rally or like just off road in general, like that type of racing is so much more dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
You're riding the cusp of breaking it loose, and at that point, like
100%.
that's
Yeah.
catastrophic failure.
Yeah, to me, the most dangerous one, just being around it and being involved in helping drivers and all that, is rally, dude. It's unforgiving.
Yeah.
Like, and just like when you wreck, you're not, oh, there's my bumper. You're talking about barrel rolls. You're talking about flipping
down a mountain.
Yeah. You're, oh man, it's nasty. And you're So and that's why they're scrutineering of safety is just so much higher, because it's just a lot more risk. You got to think they strategically, so drifting benefits from road racing in the essence of, at least in the United States, because all these courses are already here, right? For like road racing or karting, even if it's a kart track like Mid Pond, the drifters are benefiting from that track because they've already removed the trees that karter was going to hit head on and
True.
break his neck, right? So all these courses are been facilitated to be safer for the drivers, no matter the discipline you're doing. Versus when you go rallying, that oak tree is going to be there.
Yeah,
They're not moving.
They're
that
just
oak
making
tree.
that shit work.
They're not. Yeah, exactly. That's just part of the course, and that's why they have, you know, the co-pilots, because it's so dangerous. You have to kind of understand what's coming up next, or you're going to be in a whirl of hurt. You know, if you come in, full baked around the corner, that's coming into, 90-degree turn. You know, you're not going to stop all of a sudden. On gravel, you can lock it up all you want. You're going to ski it, right? Yeah. So it's by far the most dangerous when you do it on a high level, right? Yeah. Now, if you're doing rally cross and stuff, it's pretty safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, as far as the road racing compared to drifting, when it comes to, suspension setup or just car setup in general, how different is it actually from a drift setup?
So it depends on the level that you're going. Like, if you're going to go and you're going to just do a fun parking lot event, like you're going to do a linear speedway, right? You don't have to have a complex change in setup, right? If let's just say we're talking like a 240. If your ASEAN has got a good squat to it and you've got a softer spring in the rear and, a stiffer spring up front, the more things that you want to focus on. I'm a big proponent of learning that stock angle drifting. I don't believe in going out there with freaking
100%. I'm on the same thing, dude.
And those products are great. Don't get me wrong. What I am saying, those products have a time and place for a certain level of driver, right?
Right.
But with that being said, more so is focusing on like your tire setup, the type of tires you're using, right? Because you don't want a ton of grip in the rear, right? When drifting, when you're first starting out. Now, when you're competing, that's a whole nother deal, right?
Absolutely.
But those guys are running 8, 9, 10 PSI. But when you're out there just having fun in a parking lot and you're 40 plus PSI, it's completely different if you were right across the track at Road Atlanta doing a track day in your 350Z, right? You want as much grip as possible, the braking, all that stuff. So, but suspension-wise, on a grassroots level, it's not that big of a difference. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, the main thing is the rear end, right? So here's another thing that's super scary that you could get away in drifting. It's super scary, and if you're doing an HPE just track day, welded diff on a track day. It's scary.
Is it really?
Super scary because you don't have that unlocking ability when you're like just say you're going into a decreasing radius turn.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden that that rear end and you're letting off a little bit and that rear end unlocks, it's just not going to unlock. That ass end's just going to start carry, and it becomes a situation where you're not even trying to drift and you're drifting the road course. And I've had that issue before where I had, like in my Hachiroka, I had a two-way, but it was just a little too tight.
Yeah.
So I had to, recalibrate it, but it was where you're coming out of turns and it's just bam, next thing you know, and I'm getting black flag for drifting. I'm not trying to drift.
Shit.
So it's one of those situations where, the rear end makes a big difference between the two, how you have it set
That's crazy.
up.
Yeah, because you hear people like, for one, Josiah from FDF, and then, Chase from Chase Bays, they do some road, well, I don't think Josiah really does, but
they do
Chase
track
does.
days and stuff.
Yeah, so he's, especially at Polecat, he was like, dude, if some of you drifters want to go out and try and grip the track, just go grip the track. I guarantee you your setup is close enough.
Oh yeah,
So-
yeah, for sure.
But I've never had someone like really break that down on how it actually is.
Yeah, from like a grassroots, just having fun level, you could have a car that could do both in the same weekend for sure, and you wouldn't
That's
have
so
to take
cool.
the car apart to have it set up.
Wow.
To perform. Now, when you start competing and you're talking about hellacious angle and all this stuff and grip, shorter ratios and all that stuff, it's a little bit different. But from a grassroots perspective, you could have fun with the same car.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this then, because we talked about like gear ratios and stuff too, or I guess the welded diff and stuff. What is your opinion on two-ways for drifting? Are you a fan of two-ways? Do you think they provide any, extra driving ability or feel?
I think if your car is set up suspension-wise to handle a two-way and you've got everything.
What does that mean, set up suspension-wise for it?
So a two-way, it's basically it locks both ways, right?
Yeah.
But it's more modulated than what a welded diff would be, right? So if your suspension allows where you're going to have that decompression, recompression, load, unload,
Oh, okay.
right?
That makes sense.
Then
yeah.
I think it's a benefit for sure, because when you go from like a welded diff to an actual two-way rear end, it's completely different, because you can start modulating a lot and it not have to feel like it's like on a when you let off on a you've driven a welded diff, right?
That's what's in it right now.
Yeah, so
and
when
I'm
you let off,
highly
how
considering.
it's trying to pull it almost trying to pull you out of drift. Yeah, so two ways a little bit more modulated where you can control that. Yeah.
I've because I haven't been able to drive a two-way car myself, but in the sim, whenever I'm driving, I don't feel that like wants to pull me back feeling.
Yeah,
So I expect it to feel more like the sim does.
Yeah, and man, Sims, that's a whole nother conversation.
Oh, I know.
Sims have come so far, dude. I'm come from the era where it's like we played arcade games and stuff like that. And then
Yeah, man.
I finally I had one on consignment here at the store and started playing around with the drift setup with a Assetto Corsa, and I was like, man, this is like
It's
almost like
wild,
1-to-1.
bro.
Yeah, like, and that's why the younger kids are killing it. It's because they put in the sim seat time, and it does cross over. Now you got to get used to the aesthetics and the sound and all that stuff of a real car and the actual feel. But I think when you've got when you don't have those worries in your head being young and a little brave, like you get over that quick and you say, okay, yeah, this is muscle memory now.
Dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean the drivers that it's breeding now is unreal, man.
Yeah, what's the young guy?
I've got one simply because I feel left behind.
Yeah. A lot of guys in the industry, like, they get on me a lot because, like, dude, you're supposed to have a nice sim and da-da-da. And I'm just like, I love it, and I do have one now set up in my basement, but I literally built like the whole chassis and everything myself out of wood.
I
and
did too.
Carpeted
Yep,
it. Yeah, so it's
yep.
nothing fancy, but it
We're
works.
upgrading now.
There you
We're
go.
upgrading.
There
Thanks
you go.
to SimHQ, we're getting.
That's
some
right.
better
That's right. My
stuff.
wife
Yeah.
actually sent them an email about a week ago, and they sent us all the information. We're big proponents and lovers of Drift HQ and Sim HQ and all that
yeah.
stuff. Just because we all came from like that same background of like the Central Florida Drift.
Yeah.
Back
Yeah.
when those guys Duarte and all them kind of kicked off their shop and all that.
Yeah.
In South Florida.
Crazy, man.
Yeah,
Crazy
the
times.
industry's changing, man.
Dude, it's changing
It's rapid,
big
but for the
time.
better. It's cool. The technology's there, aftermarket support is there. It's where you can. like you can build. It's basically like a kit car now, right? You pick your chassis.
Yep.
You can go buy all the parts. They ship it in. They give you the instructions to put it on. You got plug and play wiring harnesses now. You've got what is that? Remote tuners. Like it's like Legos now.
Yeah,
Building
dude.
a car is like Legos. When I was into it, you had to fab everything. You had to build your own wiring harness.
That's another thing that I've noticed on the sim too, is that like you get a better understanding of how a car operates, what parts need to go on it, what gear
it's
ratios.
like, okay, this is
I know
what-
more about gear ratios now from Assetto than anything.
That's awesome though. I
It's
love
wild.
that. Yeah, you learn about camber, caster, all that, Anchorman, all that. Yeah, so it's definitely a good thing for the sport, and it's you got to look at it this way. It's a cheap barrier for getting seat time, right? To go to a track. Unfortunately, that's the biggest difference between here and Japan is that they can go drive 3-4 times a week. We can go drive, if we're lucky and you're in a really cool city like Atlanta or Washington, you can go drive once a week, right?
Yeah.
But now with the sim, it's even in the playing field, right? You get in the sim, you get your muscle memory down, you practice, and there's no, I mean, it's, as much as I love being behind the wheel, it sucks to like have to go buy a new fender, bumper, and you know, in a race.
I just picked up a door last night.
yeah. In sim, you hit the reset, and there's no expenses involved, right? So, I've crossed the bridge on that just because understanding and the discipline is 1-to-1 too when it comes to road racing, like learning tracks. Like Roebling Road. I just did Roebling Road in January in the FC, and I had only driven there one time, so it wasn't like it was planted in my brain, right? So I got on the sim for like a month straight and I said, I'm going to do 10 laps a day. And I just did 10 laps a day for like 3 days a week. And of course it's not a big track to begin with, but I knew all the little points where I wanted to put the car, and I was eating out there, bro. It was a world of difference. And I was like, okay, if you're not behind the sim now,
Good luck, dude.
Yeah, you're literally putting yourself at a competitive disadvantage. Yeah.
Polecat was my breaking point.
I want to do Polecat so bad.
It's 30 minutes from my house.
What? Okay.
I'm not shitting you. But
no excuse for you not to be there.
I know,
man.
right,
Okay.
man. But that was my breaking point for finally getting a sim, because I showed up, car issues, of course, all year I had car issues. So, and then you go out on track and like it's so long that you just get lost.
Really?
You have no idea where you're at on track.
So
And
it's
the first sight lap.
It's
I'm
like a military testing facility, right? Is that what I've heard, or it used to be? Or is
that
it
might be possible. I don't know, but it's a just beautiful racetrack. It's very small scale. Well, let me take that back. The track is big.
Yeah, but the facility.
is the
more
parking
like,
and all that stuff is not very big. So,
Gotcha.
But ungodly.
Yeah, I
It's
love
an
elevation
incredible
changes.
track.
Yeah, I love the. That's what I've seen so far. It's like all my favorite tracks that I've drifted or raced at. It's been the elevation change ones that have been my favorite.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's got some pretty good elevation
Dude,
changes.
yeah, your butt will pucker whenever you go down the gravity cavity for the first time. It's like falling off a 3-story building.
Wow,
it feels
that's
like.
sick.
I'm sure it's not anywhere near what Laguna is or something like that.
Yeah, but still.
But
yeah.
dude, it's just a straight downhill to what looks like a brick wall, a concrete wall.
Yeah.
That just takes you to the right. Oh, dude, it feels so good. My whole car is like squatting on the ground as soon as you get to the bottom.
Yeah.
It's great.
Have you ever drifted at AMP?
No, but I plan on doing that this year. I want to go to that.
Yeah,
event.
unfortunately, I think the Drift HQ is going to do CMP this year because there was whatever the reasons behind it. I think that also the benefit too is they're going to be able to do a 2 or 3 day. It's going to be a whole weekend deal.
Okay.
But bring that up because AMP is a monster. It's a roller coaster when it comes to like elevation changes. And I've drifted there every year since like 2021.
I freaking wish.
And dude, if they open up another drift to do it, sign up every time. Money, that one's 30 minutes from my house. So
Hey,
you
there
can
you
come crash
go.
at my place. And,
Sick, yeah.
Yeah, I had
Same.
I had Pinku Style come over from Japan. I had the Grip Royal
crazy.
guys, you know, Scott and everybody. They came over. They stayed at the house, and we did A&P drift.
Nice,
1 year.
yeah,
It was a
yeah.
good time.
I was there. I think it was 2 years. It was the first year I started the podcast.
Okay.
I went out and did a podcast with Drift HQ. And
Okay.
the guys, Cricket and Chris and all them.
Yeah.
And I stayed for the event the next
Okay.
day, only for like a few hours because, you know, I had 4-hour drive home. So
Yeah.
I was like, I got to get home in a decent hour.
Yeah, fair enough.
And yeah, I went for a little bit. We went up to the booth, and they brought me on the live stream and stuff for a second.
Oh, you didn't get a ride along or
And-
anything?
No, no.
Oh, yeah.
I walked around the pits a little bit,
You were
said hi to
probably
some
burnt.
people, and I was done.
Yeah, that's
So I
fair.
was like,
That's
I'm
fair.
out of here.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Yeah, that one's got crazy elevation change, and it's one I try. That's if you were asking me like my favorite thing of drifting when it comes to driving, any road course. The road courses is where it's at.
100% agree.
Yeah, road courses where,
Yeah.
and I'm so used to it because I race a lot, so
It's
I'm just
natural,
balls
man.
deep when it
Yeah.
comes to like a road race. I was like, this is what I've been wanting to do without getting in trouble. So it's fun. It's
Yeah.
fun for sure. But yeah, that's a good one. But Polecat, I definitely want to. Are they doing like a regular schedule now, or is that like a
Yeah,
special
so he's
event?
got well, Chase from Chase Bays has 2 events scheduled. I know there's I always forget the name of the other person that does the events there. But yeah, I think the first one is in March.
Okay.
Or yeah, maybe April.
So they're
I
going to
might
be more
wrong.
regular. It's not going to be special staged kind of deals.
No, not this year. I
Okay.
assume that's kind of the goal he's leaning
Gotcha,
towards
gotcha.
because of the whole final bout style type
Okay.
stuff. Like it's
yeah. So I may end up.
it's all final bout cars pretty much. Like,
Okay.
It's all
Yeah.
nice
Yeah.
cars.
Those are fun too. We went. We did final bout. I didn't get to drive that one
That's
because
a bucket
obviously
list
it's
of
a
mine.
team deal, right? But,
Yeah.
But we, Rachel and I, we drove up to Wisconsin and did final bout in 2023. Yeah, 2023. That was hella fun.
Yeah.
Dude, we pulled up. So we have a I sold it more recently, but we have a JDM car carrier.
Yeah.
And we pulled up. We had the A86 on the bottom. I was like, dude, I'm gonna bring it in case they let me drift it. And unfortunately, it was all team stuff. But had
Yeah.
that, and I had we have a S13 with SR swap convertible. So like
Oh, hell yeah.
rodeo style. Yeah. So we showed up. We set up. We sold gear, but the fans are super cool. They all showed a lot of love. They were like super excited to see us. And then the drivers was really nice, and the course is just nasty.
Yeah.
So that's a really haul, but it's one like.
Well, there you go. That's what a lot of those guys were saying. Is Polecat is literally just an exaggerated version of US Air.
Okay.
That's kind of what they were.
Yeah, because
explaining
it's
it like-
wicked. It's something different for
Yeah.
sure. So it'd be nice to kind of experience both of those.
Hell yeah. I did want to ask on the road racing stuff, what would you say is probably the barrier to entry for road racing? As far as cost, car setup, like blah, blah, all that nonsense.
So like the natural barriers of entry is making sure that you've got a car that's gonna be tech inspected and passed. So basically what that means is it doesn't have leaks, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not leaking. You've got the proper brake setup. It's very similar to drifting, where you've got it's important to have good tires on it. Like drifting, you can it doesn't matter. Like, we used to buy tires, for like $10 a pop behind the Pep Boys, right? Just for them not to throw it away.
Now it matters.
Now it
Drifting's
matters.
gotten too crazy. It definitely matters now, I would
Okay,
say.
yeah,
To
okay.
have decent tires. I
It
see some
does.
people struggle and
Yeah.
waste so much money
Yeah,
by
and-
having cheap ass tires.
And it's important to be consistent with the tire you use
Right.
too, right? So you understand its driving mannerisms, right? Because every tire is a little bit different. But like far as the main thing is to get started either in autocross or doing HPDEs. Like,
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you want to start either one of those.
And what are some organizations that you can start
Yeah,
in,
so
I guess?
autocross, probably the best ones is SCCA when it
Okay.
comes to autocross, because they've been doing it so long. They've got chapters. I mean, you can be in Hawaii and doing autocross. Yeah,
Damn.
they've got
What
that
the
type
hell?
of reach. Yeah, so
That's wild.
and I personally don't come from an autocross background, But I know I see the benefits of it because I've competed against people that are like autocross champions.
Yeah, yeah.
And they just have a little bit more keen detail of how they set up their car and their driving mannerisms. But if you don't want to start there, the more prevalent option that's that you can get to easy is HPDs, which is once again high performance driving experiences. So there's a lot of organizations out there. It depends on where you live. Like if you're no matter where you live, Chin Motorsports is the one. It's more on the higher end. It's more,
Yeah.
you know, you'll be out there with some guys that have Ferraris. You'll be out there with guys that have Miatas. Versus like Jay Zilla's another one that's a Southeast organization.
Okay.
So it's more closer to people our age, right?
Gotcha.
And it's that's a great one. Grit Life used to be really great about HPDs, but they're more focused on the competition aspect because they're trying to build out a schedule that circumvents all that they do, right?
Yeah, Grid Life's way too big now.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
have
So
to kinda...
they're going to be revamping their HPD program in the upcoming years, and I think they're going to dedicate something especially for it. So they'll have more of a feeder series. But right now, to get in Grid Life, it's, you know, you got a competition license, and so they're changing a lot of things to build up the aspect of competition.
Even for drifting, to run the big road course, you got to have the comp
I
license
saw that.
now.
So it's a big change up, and and they know what they're doing. Those guys have really, they've taken off. Like it's honestly, if you think about it, it's the biggest motorsports event in the United States when it comes to like as a whole, right?
Yeah.
As a whole, for encompassing all motorsports, right? Because they have the drift and the,
I know what you mean.
And the grip, not just one discipline. But HPD is the way to go. And you can also, another option on those is like just track it. You could do what's the other one? You could do SCCA track nights, which is I'm a big advocate of, because you don't have to have a SCCA license or membership. You can sign up, and the cool thing about it, the reason they came out with it is because it's in the evening. So if you work like most people, right, you can't just go into a track day on Friday or Saturday because you got to work. But these are like on like Wednesdays or Thursday evenings. You can show up, and it's much cheaper. It's a shorter event, so it's not all day.
Yeah.
And you can get the experience that you need and get the track, you know, learn in that manner without spending too much money or spending a whole weekend, right?
Right.
So yeah, but those are the best ways, and it's just like drifting. Start out stupid simple. Like they say, KISS, keep it stupid simple, right?
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, or to keep it stupid simple. Yeah, stupid. Yeah,
however the hell it goes.
Yeah, either way. Yeah, I'll say keep it stupid simple. And yeah, like to me, a great options are like 350Zs, Miatas, E36, E46.
Yeah.
Any of those like stock chassis, do some good tires, make sure your suspension isn't blown out. Good brakes, proper seat, no leaks, fluids change. You're ready. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay.
So it's a weekend kind of deal where you can be set up and ready to roll.
Damn. So let's just say you already have a car that's capable of being a good road race car, and you want to just get to the first track day.
Okay.
How much do you think it would cost to be able to get to that point?
If the car's already done, you're saying.
Well, if you have the car, obviously you'd still have to put parts on it,
gotcha.
get it set up to be able to go.
So that's a good question. Let's just say you're gonna, and you should be going to a local event, right? When I say local, let's just say within 3 hours of where you live, right? That's local to me. Let's just say if it was a 350Z, because 350Z is achievable for most people, right? For a 350Z, I've said good set of tires. You definitely want to, in my opinion, you want to start with something with 300 tread wear or less. If it's your daily too, don't buy a 200 tread wear tire. Do like a 300 tread wear tire. So let's say you drop a good set of tires, $800, $200 a tire, right, for a quality tire that's going to last you. Brake pads, you can get away with $100 set of brake pads from like Hawk, and there'd be like HP Pluses where you can still daily them.
Yeah.
But they're great for the track. So you're $900 in. It's going to cost you roughly $300 for the track day. So we're $1,200. Outside of that, let's just say all your fluid changes and maintenance and everything with another $100, because you should be able to do that yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I say $1,300 to get started, but you got to realize that sounds expensive, right? But then your next track day, The only thing you should do is be checking your fluids, make sure they're still good. And now it's $300, right?
Yeah.
It's not another $1,200, another $1,200, another $1,200, and that's that sneaky little rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah,
about
dude.
drifting
$100
is
you to
once you
death,
start
man.
hitting that 400, 500 horsepower range. Now you got to come to the track with 20 tires, and it's like, oh man, this gets expensive.
Brutal at that point.
So yeah,
man.
there's some upfront costs, but
Use the discount.
yeah, use your
use the discount.
I like that. I like that you offer that too. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotta help
but
out drivers,
once you get that initial expenditure up front, you should just be maintaining those tires will last you a whole season. Yeah, so
Really?
and that's if you're doing like
Well, I guess that's kind of like our fronts. I mean, our fronts last
Yeah.
a really good amount of time. Maybe
Yeah.
not a full season, but you know.
yeah, you can get a full season out of because you got to think too. You should be in a chassis that's sub 300 horsepower.
True,
So anything, whether it's a E46, 350Z, G35, E36, any of those cars are going to be sub 300. So then the important part of that is not only you're not destroying your drivetrain a lot, but they're not eating up tires as much.
Yeah.
And
That's
the
fair.
brake pads will last you a season too, for sure. So
Dude, that's so nuts, man.
Mm-hmm.
So much cheaper, that's for sure.
yeah, and so that's why it's important that, the seat is important. The reason I brought up the seat on both aspects, and especially drifting too. I mean, I think we already beat the drum with some of your past guests about the proper way to the things you should do. It's real similar.
I mean, yeah.
But the seat is important because when you're fighting where you want to be, and especially on road courses and stuff, you're not really dialing in the car braking wise,
Yeah.
acceleration wise, your timing, holding the wheel. You're even if you don't realize it subconsciously, you're bracing all the time, and it's taken away from your driving experience and your performance. So
Yeah. I preach about that stuff all the time, man.
Yeah.
As soon as the day I put a seat, and it was just a cheap fake bride one
Yeah.
off of eBay.
it's a
And,
world of
oh my
difference,
God,
though.
dude, it was a whole different car.
Yeah, I
Like,
believe it.
Completely different car, and I was still on stock angle and stuff. So
Yeah.
you know the how the Z's have those shitty lower control arms and the bushings wear
Mm-hmm.
out. Both of mine were toast, so I essentially had active caster the entire time. It was
Yeah, so that
bad.
didn't help with the
Yeah.
movement either, huh?
No, not at all.
Yeah,
But yeah, bucket seats, that's a big one.
yeah. It's a world of difference.
So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit more about the cafe, what like the purpose of it is for, why you started it, what's here, so on and so forth.
Yeah, great question. So back in 2016, 2017, we had a storefront when we were getting into like our fifth year of Bridge Moto. So we found it valuable to have a place for customers to come in, sit in seats, get measured for suits. 'Cause that's a big thing for us. Is like we kind of launched a whole customizable seats, customizable race suits deal, and it's important for things to fit right.
Real quick, what is like a lot of the wait times for stuff like that, by the
Yeah,
way?
yeah. So like race suits, like and customizable seats. So to make the product usually only takes us, 30 days. But the thing you have to take in consideration is that we have customers ahead of when your order is. So
Yup,
right now
yup.
the lead time's about 90 days on custom seats. Custom race suits we can make a little quicker. Usually it's about 30 to 45 days.
Okay, yeah.
So not horrible, but you got to think you're getting something that's made for you. We're not
Right.
taking something and just saying, oh, we're gonna sprinkle this color. We're dialing it into the plaid you want, or we're dialing into the amount of memory foam you want in the seat, or we're customizing
wow.
it with your sponsors and everything on the seat or
That's
suit, right?
sick,
So we're
dude,
really,
yeah.
really, literally tailoring it for the individual. So you get something really cool, very personable, and separates you from the next guy, right?
Absolutely, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
All right, well, tell me a lot about the safety equipment. Like, why did you choose to go the safety equipment route rather than just
Yeah,
your average stuff that every person does for motorsports.
Yeah, so I was familiar with parts and all that stuff, building cars, but I knew I didn't want to do that just because it was saturated, right?
Yeah.
So and I also wanted to do something that would have a positive impact on drivers, right? So I can sell them stuff, that's cool, but it's neutral. It's not positive or negative, right? It's positive to help them where they're going. But I wanted something that could be a good legacy for our team, my wife and I, my kids, and that makes sense that we could pass on. And safety is really cool because you're literally making sure that driver is safe, but you're doing it in a way that is personable to them with our designs and our colors. So it's really cool to like pull up at an event, and some people I know, some people I don't know. Now it's more people I don't know just because we've got a good reach where it's like, oh man, I remember designing that seat. Oh man, like he looks really great in that suit, or she looks really great in that suit that we made.
Cool to see, yeah.
It's really cool, man. It's like, it's bigger, and that's a big thing about it is it's bigger than the individual. It's bigger than me. And that's what we did on purpose. We made it about the brand. It wasn't about the person, so that people felt like a certain connection or community toward what Bridge Moto stands for, right? So, whether you're big into tailgate driving like those customers that came through, or you're more so into drifting, whatever the case, we've got something for you, and it's like stuff that you can be proud of. You're not like, oh, I bought it because it was my cheapest option. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's not us. That's not who we try to be. We're not trying to be the cheapest option because, unfortunately, with that comes some sacrifice in quality. So we try to think our niche is making quality products at affordable prices that are customizable to the customer as much as possible with keeping the price down. Now, if you want something fully custom one-on-one, of course, that's going to cost a little bit more than something that we have. Yeah, it's a lot more than something that we have off the shelf. But we have a lot of cool off-the-shelf products that are different than anything else on the market, right? Like our VTO1 seats, our Fury Kai lineup, there's nothing like it. Our shoes, like we pioneered, drift shoes. We were the first company to ever make a drift specialty shoe, right? So
it was the first company that I ever even really recognized for driving shoes.
Right.
That's why I have them. I bought them at Clutch Kickers, my first event there.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. And that's just one example that you've actually experienced. So you get where I'm coming from.
Oh yeah, 100%, dude. Well, the one thing that I found unique, which you just mentioned, is a lot of the colorways and stuff. You almost like followed the whole Ralph Lauren color scheme theory. You know how they always have their polos are always the most random color schemes. It'll be a blue shirt with a pink logo, and it's like that doesn't even really match, but it goes together. But it goes together
for that. Or that I never thought about it from that aspect, but that to me it was just like I'm more of a kind of like a flavor person when it comes to putting stuff together, and I say, like how's this gonna look together? Sometimes it rocks out, and sometimes it's like, oh, that's a clearance item that's not gonna move. But you live and learn, like when you design stuff, and it's I'm an artistic person in in a mental aspect. I can't sit here and draw you a picture, but I could really design stuff in my head and put things together creatively. And this is kind of like my way of expressing art, right? So, and then, and a lot of people appreciate like certain things like the Fury Kai shoes and the way we do our suits and stuff like that. So it's just my way of, painting my canvas, so to speak, when it comes to like color combination. But I appreciate the compliment. That's a big compliment to be compared to Ralph Lauren because
it like complete because obviously I do video work and stuff. Like I have to learn how to color grade, so in that way you have to understand color theory. What colors draw certain emotions and blah blah blah, and like
that's a great point.
Whenever you look at, I can't remember the actual name or whatever for it, but when you're on a color wheel, you're supposed to essentially colors that correlate with each other are opposite ends of the color wheel. So that's why, purple, yellow is the opposite, or, blue, red is the opposite. So on and so, I don't actually, that might be wrong. Anyways,
I know
you know what I mean though. So it's the fact that it goes against color theory I feel makes it help stand out more.
It does. There's a certain like a palette like combination where it's like, oh, that stands out. Like if you were to chose like a pink and a red together, doesn't doesn't clash in a cool way the same way like a pink and a yellow does,
Yeah.
right? But red and yellow are fairly similar. And just like this jacket I'm wearing now, this is like our official pullover jacket for the 2025 season. Like I started doing like more neutral colors because I wanted to play with that for the season and see what see how people reacted to it. But yeah, that's kind of like the fun part of Bridgemoto is that there's no rhyme or reason. There's no people I've got to answer to design something. I get to kind of be creative as I want to be, and then I get feedback, of course, from our customers, drivers, our team, and then from there, we put it out in the market if we're proud of it.
Yeah. Well, what sparks the inspiration? Like, what is the key thing that has made all of the styling and the colorways and all of that stuff come together? Like, what gives you that creativity?
I think it's just like self-expression, right? So, like I said, I love to be artistic in a way to, paint a picture or draw, but unfortunately, I'm not geared that way. So for me, it's expression in not only myself but drivers, right? So that drivers, let's just say they want a cool seat that has their colors are people have their colors, right? Their colors are purple until like your livery's really dope. It's got the purple in there, right?
It's completely changing this year, but
yeah, but like let's just say your colors are white, purple, and teal, which are magnificent colors together. Now, instead of you going there and say, "Damn, okay, I'm gonna grab this XYZ seat, and it's got to be black with their random white logos." Now you can say, you know what? I want a FA seat, but I want a Bridgemoto one because I can encompass my livery and bleed over into my interior and my steering wheel. So that's kind of our approach where you can bring that self-expression not on the exterior of your car, but in interior, your suit. So when you get up on the podium and you got a solid black suit, nothing wrong with that. But if you had that freaking white suit with purple and teal in it and your logos that match your car, people are going to be like, damn, I love his suit. I want a suit like that, So for us, it's that expression like Ben Hobson. Ben and I have been buddies for a really long time. And for the longest, his colors was like purple and green, the Joker style, right?
Oh, yeah.
So like he got to get like a purple glove, green glove, and then later in the years he went to like purple and pink. So he would have one Fury Kai purple and glove and shoe, and the other, the swap. And then we built him a suit that was like purple, pink, and white. And then we tied in that color code to his livery, so it was like really nasty. So
that's so sick.
And that's so to me, that's it. It's like you being able to express your design and your car layout with the interior and exterior of your car, right? You don't want to open up the door and it's like, oh, it's all red, but the car's sick outside,
Absolutely. That's very cool that you spend the extra time and the extra thought into the styling aspect of it, because in my opinion, the style of drifting is
that's
arguably
part
the
of
most
it, dude.
important.
That's the element. Like, drifting is not drifting without the art or style aspect. Your favorite, if you think about your favorite drivers to watch, whatever level it may be, it's the ones usually that have the more style points, the artistic like ways of entry, the way their aggression. Like to me, that's what makes drifting fun, right?
Absolutely, I agree. Hell yeah. Well, what can we expect from Bridgemoto out of 2025? Is there anything new coming? Where are we gonna be?
So that's a great point. So 2025, we have a Bridgemoto official tour. You can check that out at bridgemoto.com on the events page. You can also find it at Bridgemoto on Instagram. It's actually pinned at the top. But we're going to do a full Grit Life tour when it comes to the festival. So we're probably coming to a city fairly close to you. We're doing, of course, the Road Atlanta, CNP, Road America, Lime Rock. We really, really want to do Laguna Seca too if it's in the budget. So we're going to do the full festival tour, right? And so I'm going to be competing out there, wheel to wheel, and hopefully on some of the smaller ones where I'm not competing, I want to do some of the Drift Fun Days. But we're going to be at all the big festivals, so you can expect to see us there, full booth set up. You can pick up your favorite gear if you're not, unfortunately, close enough to come to the Bridgemoto Cafe. But if you're not close to the event or there, you can also reach it bridgemoto.com every day. We ship. We take care of people. Outside of the race schedule and travel schedule, We've got some really cool stuff dropping. We've got our 2025 pullovers. We got this in a Raiders version, so black, silver, white.
Yeah.
And this is our Atlanta Braves version, red, blue, and white as well. We've got our full new lineup of 3-piece wheels that are designed by our Motorsports division, Togi Techniques, so you can order custom wheels through there. Check those out. But outside of that, we've got some new steering wheels, gloves, and also some seats that are dropping next. I would say the end of April. So
What's the colorway?
I can't tell.
Can't
Man.
say
You
it?
gotta tune
Oh,
in. You gotta
shit.
tune in. Follow us on Instagram at Bridgemoto. You can check all that, but we won't disappoint. I'll promise you that.
Solid, man. I love it. All right. Well, what is your best piece of advice for anyone just getting into drifting?
Have fun. Put fun number one. Don't think about social media. Don't think about the negativities that people push. Don't think about the hate. Just keep it fun. And when you're keeping it fun, you're going to make great friends in the process and enjoy it. Let it be your escape. Let it be your art of expression like it is to us. And never forget why you got into it, for the fun of it.
Okay. And then if you had the opportunity to speak to the entire world, what would your one message be?
My one message is just be the best person that you can be. Focus on you. Focus on your community. Focus on the loved ones around you, because when you focus on yourself being the best that you can, that's going to bleed off the positivity to others around you to also step up and be the best that they can be. So, it's hard sometimes to swallow a pill when things are going negative, things aren't going your way, people around you are just being a distraction. But if you can focus on being the best person you can be, then that'll set the motto for everybody else around you. So that's something I strive for every day. Just trying to make tomorrow a little bit better than today.
Absolutely. Hell yeah, dude. Well, I really appreciate it, man.
Oh, I love being
Thanks
here
for
with
letting
you,
me
bro.
come invade your space, too.
Oh, man.
And,
you're a guest.
take
You're not
over.
an invader.
You can't see it, but I'm taking over a lot of the space here.
It's
with
all
the
good. That's
tripods
why
and
we
everything.
had the Bridgemoto Cafe for community aspects such as this. So
That's
happy
awesome,
to have
dude.
you, man.
Well, come check it out if you haven't been up here. This is a great place.
By the way, our cafe hours are Friday through Sunday, 11 to 5. We do have quite a bit of a race schedule, so if you're coming from far away or you just want to confirm, shoot us a message, give us a phone call, 478-215-1077. We will confirm that we're here. Like I said, it's Friday through Sunday, 11 to 5, but we do travel a lot for racing.
Absolutely. And I'll leave the address and stuff in the description.
Yeah,
Cool?
please
All
do.
right. Cool, yeah. And link and all that stuff will be in there as well. And, of course, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and click that. Really appreciate you watching. And that's all I got. So I will see you each and every Sunday for a brand new episode. Thanks.
Sir. Stay
Peace.
rad.
Way up to the ceiling. Trust no bitch, can't catch no feelings. I've been taking long flights from the Bay to Ibiza. Hit home runs, I'm a ball like Jeter. I just want fuck, then I leave. I'm a young pop star, call the boy Justin Bieber. Got a little money if you want, I can teach you. Whole life a movie, you can watch it in theater. Stacking way up to the ceiling. Trust no bitch, can't catch no feelings.